Good morning, everybody. It's really lovely to have you here. I'm delighted to be in this most gorgeous place and sharing a tool or a concept with you which I came across about 2 years ago. The morning session is the one where you need to focus a little bit more, so I have to speak a bit. I personally like to have my seminars very practical, so we will do a lot of practical stuff. Don't worry, you don't sit the whole day on the chair, but I have to explain a few concepts, and that will happen mainly before morning tea. Any questions before we get started? No? Very good. Well, my name is Catrin, for the ones who don't know me, and I come, as you can hear, from Germany. I live in New Zealand since 16 years, and the main reason why I started this work is what I believe is because I came to this country, because it opened me up to completely new opportunities and new belief systems, which I'd not have discovered where I come from. This tool came to me about 2 years ago, and I have done mainly 15 years of self-development, personal development courses, lots and lots of things, because I always ask myself, there must be something else, this can't be it. But when this tool came, I give you a couple of examples why I was so amazed with it. And one is teeth. And interesting enough, we have a dentist here at the back of the room. I have really major problems with my teeth, and one of them is root canal infections. So about 2 years ago, I had a major tooth canal infection, and I dread to go to the dentist, and I really, really don't like it. So I wait and suffer the pain. Initially, it was only Nurofen. Then it was Nurofen and cortisol, I think it's called. Then at some point, the pain was so bad that I had to hammer my head against the wall. My kids forced me to go to the hospital. I get morphine put into it. Nothing stopped that pain. Nothing at all. They opened the tooth up. It was a real nightmare. At that point, I knew about this 2-point technique, and after all the suffering, thought, why don't I apply that to it? And did. And within half an hour, my pain was gone, without any further treatment, without any tablets, without any drugs. That was my first experience with it. And I thought, there's definitely something to it. The second one is probably more emotional. I have had a really bad relationship to my father, to the point that I don't go into the story of it, but to the point that I went the furthest away from Germany as I could, because I really hated him since I'm a child and didn't want to have anything to do with him and feared him. My fear, you always take your fear, and whatever you take with you, even if you think you're going away from it, you take it with you. So I did, and lived in fear for quite a long time. I worked in my first session with the 2-pointing method on that issue, and a few days later I got bitten by a white-tailed spider in my finger, and I'm not sure if any of you ever had it, but I reacted again really, really badly, got very, very sick, and have a friend who works with funny machines where you put your hands on and something works through your body. So I went to him, did this stuff with him, and all of a sudden I felt pain, and then I felt relief, and then I had to cry, and then I felt my father is dying. And I was so certain in that moment that my father is dying. I've never ever felt more certain about something in my life. But I, after doing this work, understood this is the energy of my father which was leaving my body, finally. It was a really amazing experience. Well, the next day I got a phone call from Germany, and they told me my father died, exactly at the time where I experienced that he did. I haven't had contact with him for 30 years, so I didn't know what he was into, but he suffered a stroke, suffered really badly, and then he left this body, and I experienced that. And that really then kind of did it for me. I was really curious to find out more about how this works, and the more I did, the more amazing experiences I had, not necessarily such dramatic ones, but that was a big one for me, but I really, really love it. Before we go into the 2.0, I would like to explain you another concept, and it has to do with our minds and patterns which we experience. And before I explain it to you, I would like you to get into the perfect learning state, which I usually teach children at school. How do you get into the perfect learning state? Do you know? Everybody in school should know this, but nobody's teaching it. Breathe is a good one. Ideal learning state for me means that your left and your right brain work at the same time simultaneously, because the majority of times when we are conscious, we work with our left brain and not with the right one. The right one, though, is the one who is opening you up to intuition, to a far bigger way of information, and we want to access both. So in order to do this, I would like you to just all get up. And because our brain is, and by the way, Cynthia, I am sending out notes this afternoon. So if people want to write notes, that's fine, but I'm sending out stuff about all this at the end. Our brains are cross-wired, and to get the interaction going, we are just doing some really basic interaction with left and right. So you take your right hand, you put it in your left knee, and then you do the other way. Yep, and that's what every child in the morning should do at school. Simple things like this. This is activating it. Now you can take your hands and you do the this little exercise, if you can. And the funny thing is usually how our tongue is trying to work it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't really matter. It's mainly that you are trying because you're trying something different, and that is getting right and left. So now I would like you to face to somebody and give cross high fives. Just say good morning and say high five. Very good. We will be talking about our mind for a minute, and if I say, what is the mind looking like? When I say the mind, what comes up as an image in your head? How does it look like? Bubbles? Grain matter? Hard? Well, the interesting thing is the mind cannot come up really with an image because it's not a physical thing. The mind is an activity. But our brain works with images. If you learn a new concept, you need to have an image you can relate it to. That's how we learn. So in 1934, a professor who was working with patients developed an image. And again, it's only a concept, but it helps us learn much better what the mind means and how it works. And so he came up with an idea. And this is your mind. This underneath is your body. And your mind is divided into the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. It doesn't have to be equally half circles, because we figure out something that this is far bigger than this anyway. But this is representing now, for now, your mind, and this is your body. So as a child, when you learn something new, you come to this beautiful planet, and you think everything is awesome, and you try to experience new things, and you're using all your 5 senses, like feel, touch, smell. Like there is a chair, and a child is not just looking at the chair and saying, oh, this is a chair. A young one would grab it, would bite into it, would try to climb it. So you experience learning with all your 5 senses. And then all the information you are learning is filtering through your conscious mind directly into your subconscious mind. Because from your birth, or basically from when you are in the womb until 6 years of age, you have no ability to accept or reject any information. You just sponge it all up. In other words, when we are 0 to 6, our brain operates mainly in theta. And theta brainwaves are the ones where your subconscious mind is accepting everything as a sponge. So if we want to, we come to that later, but that's what we are, what a child is doing in theta. After that, you are mainly moving into alpha and beta. So now we as adults, we are mainly working in beta brainwaves with our conscious mind. And beta is just meaning that all the stuff you have learned, you've given a filter through, you have at some point accepted something as positive or as negative. And when those little pictures are popping up for you now, that's when automatically your conscious mind will say, oh, I like this or I don't like this. But as a child, from 0 to 6, you don't have this. You accept everything as it is, as being the truth, so to speak. And what happens, those belief systems, which are mainly not your belief systems, they are your parents or your grandparents or your teachers, whoever is with you in those first few years, what they are saying, what they are emanating, what they are portraying or role modeling, you accept and you create your self-image. Self. Okay, so far so good. From your self-image now, this is what you believe about this planet, about yourself to be true. And from here, you then take action, or your body is taking action to do certain things. And these are giving you results. The whole time, though, it's understanding those mainly are not your belief systems from now. They are some belief systems which you have been conditioned to when you were a child. So if you had parents who were totally open to everything, who were positive, who were telling you, you are awesome, you can do everything you like in your life, and that kind of stuff, you were really lucky, because automatically this is what you believe to be true, and then it's going to happen. Most of us were not so lucky, and that's not because we had bad parents. I figured out now, after this experience with my dad, our parents always do, this is what I truly believe, the best at the time they know and they can. They didn't know any of that stuff. So if you experience parents like my parents were fighting a lot and didn't have a very nice relationship, so my understanding was, okay, fighting in a relationship is normal. That's what I learned, because that's what I was exposed to. My dad was actually beating up my mom, so I learned it's okay to accept physical abuse. But I didn't know that until I came across this model. But I attracted it because there is another really fascinating thing within your mind and your body. What you believe to be true. And with belief, or maybe we look at the word. My writing is not perfect, but can you see the other word in the word belief? Lie. Yes. Every belief is also a lie. It's something somebody teaches you and you make the decision whether this is true or not. But it's true for you. It can be wrong for somebody else. But everything starts usually with a lie and you create it into a belief. And we have a mechanism within us which then makes us do things to prove that we are right. What you believe here is right. And automatically, it runs on autopilot. This stuff you believe to be true here is putting your body into action and attracting the things which you believe are true or right. So what that means is, practical again, I came out of that relationship, and what I attracted was mainly relationships where men were either abusive or cheating on me or not very nice. But I thought the whole time, what's wrong with me? And I didn't understand that it had to do with what I learned about in my family, what I then accepted on a subconscious level, basically creating those results. Once I understood this concept, I was free to make a choice. I was free to say, those beliefs obviously don't serve me, and they are not true. I don't deserve to be abused or beaten up, or I do deserve to earn a really good income. I do deserve to be happy. So how on earth can I now change this? So far, again, you follow? I always ask that because this is such a powerful thing to understand. It looks simple, it's really powerful, and that changed my life completely. The thing to understand too is your subconscious mind, if you compare it with a computer and databases, is so much more powerful than your conscious mind. If you compare it with data, 1 to 1 billion. So your conscious mind is really not all that important. And most of the time when we are in our conscious mind, like when we are talking, not when we are listening, tuning in, but when we are talking and chatting, most of the time we run on autopilot. And we are actually not thinking our own thoughts. And we are not repeating stuff which comes from us. We are just saying what we have heard, what we picked up, what our parents said. The conversations we are usually having are really not all that conscious at all. And I give you an example how powerful the subconscious mind is, or a couple of them. A freezing worker came home from work on a Friday afternoon in his truck, and he parked his truck and had to take some stuff out because he knew by Monday he had to unload the stuff. Freezing truck, meaning the truck at the back is really, really cold, below 30 degrees. All of a sudden, the door closes and he can't go out anymore. In that moment, he knew nobody would come before Monday morning to rescue him. And he also knew, learning in biology, that he can't survive 2 nights and 2 days without anything below 30 degrees. So he died. On Monday morning, they discovered him in the truck. What he didn't know is that the thermostat was broken. The truck wasn't actually freezing. It was above 0 temperature. But he believed he would die because nobody can survive that. And that's why he died. Another example, which is quite interesting, I experienced that with some people myself, is normal operations where people have something minor happening and you heal within 3 days normally, and it was done over and over and over again. For one lady, that operation happened, was successful, but she didn't heal. And the doctors could not figure out why that happened. And it took another week, and she just wouldn't heal. And then somebody suggested she should go under hypnotherapy. And as I said before, in hypnotherapy, that's where you go into theta, really, really deep into your subconscious mind. And she agreed to do that. So she went under hypnotherapy. And what they figured out is while she was being operated, the surgeon was talking to his anesthetist, and he just had a new dog, a German Shepherd, and went to puppy school with him. And he just shared with the surgeon saying, I don't know what to do, but my dog wouldn't heal. Yeah, get it? So that's what she heard. That's what she picked up. Wouldn't heal. Only that. And that's why she didn't heal. So in that hypnotherapy session, they rephrased it, changed the sentence. She came out within 3 days, she was healed. So our subconscious mind stores billions of data and information, a lot more than our conscious mind. And this is the place from where we operate. And that is the reason why when I went to seminars where I learned to have positive affirmations, for example, or tell myself every day in front of the mirror, I am successful, I'm pretty, I'm beautiful. If I believe here I'm not, I can say it 1,000 times and it wouldn't do anything. So we need to change the belief systems in here in order to change. Only, of course, if we have results in our life which we don't like. And I'm not saying that the two-pointing method is the only method. I'm not even claiming it is the best one. I say, for me, it is the fastest, most easiest, and most beautiful method I've come across to show me in the first instance what actually my belief systems are, and we get into that when we start practicing, and then transforming them so I can fill up with new belief systems. And those ones I now choose with my free will to be more beneficial for me. Okay? Is this part clear? Yeah, very good. Well, then...
I've come across, just to validate what you're saying.
Yes.
They've done a lot of...
Yes?
I mean, out there they've done a lot of research on split personality disorder,
yes.
Multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
And they've had, that's one person that feels that they have a tumor, and they have a tumor. Mm. But when they split into the other personality is tumor-free, and there's no tumor. So it just shows you to the degree. And then there's also other ones where a person has green eyes and another personality has blue eyes, and their eyes change color as they switch the personality. So that shows you how powerful that is, that belief structure that you just mentioned.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Glenn. When you just say that, I have this example in my head. They did studies at NASA, and they put glasses on people's heads. And when they put the glasses on, they saw the world upside down. And they were wearing those glasses for 3 days. And then they took the glasses off, and they still saw the world upside down. And it took them another 3 days again to readjust it. So that's how perception, or whatever you feed your mind with, is really, really important, because it influences this. For us adults, also for us as parents, and I'm actually working with children on this stuff, because I really would like that kids feed their minds with the positive stuff first. And more importantly, that parents are aware how important it is to tell your children things like, you are awesome, you can achieve everything on an ongoing basis, not just once. And that's why I do this. So it's really important that we know what we feed our minds with, because it has a huge impact on what we are achieving. But now there are obviously, as I mentioned before, you could have a lot of hypnotherapy sessions, if you trust your hypnotherapist, that is, and go into theta and change those belief systems. Most of us don't have either the resources or the time to do it, and that's why I like the two-pointing method, because we access this part and we go even deeper than this to change our results and our beliefs. And now we go into explaining this beautiful tool. Any other questions? If I'm not asking, just like Glenn did, just interrupt me. And you don't have to have the microphone if you don't want to. Okay, the two-pointing method is very old. The Hawaiian shaman used it already 2,000 years ago, and there are different names for it, but I'm using two-point method because we are connecting 2 points, and we are focusing on the space in between. In quantum physics, hopefully I get that right now. we have, or when we look at normal physics, we just look at a chair, and this is normal matter for us. That's what physicists call matter. And it feels really quite dense and hard, and when you knock your knee against it, it hurts too. By the end of the day, we understand this is only a belief system too. If we go deeper, we understand that most of these things have a molecular structure. So there are molecules. And then we can go deeper, and I don't know how you look this, something like this. And we figure out that there is a nucleus in the middle and lots of neutrons and protons flying around it. The nucleus, so far, was the closest or the lowest density physicists could measure. And now we also understand there is something below here. And they call that the 0-point field, or some people, like I call it source or spirit, but there is a space which the best cameras from NASA can't see anymore. So with our eyes or our hands, we can't touch it, we can't see it, but it's still there, and they can only measure it because everything below this, and obviously including this, has an energy around it, and electromagnetic forces. And that's what they can measure. And from this space, basically everything is created, from this nothingness. And you can call it nothingness or 0-point field or whatever you like, but it's an invisible mess, something. And that's where things are created from. So if you would take the camera from NASA and go into this chair and go deeper and deeper and deeper, this is what you will figure out. There is nothing. Nothing. And the most amazing part, though, is that space, nothing. You can do the same with your body. First you have your body, your skin, then you go deeper and you have the blood vessels and the bones, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and at the end, again, there is this nothing. If you go into the universe, you have the same. If you take a camera and look down on the earth, looking on us now, we see bodies going higher, we see the house going higher, we see the country going higher and higher and higher, and at some point, beyond the stars, beyond the planets, beyond everything else, is again this space called nothing. And out of this space is where all creation is happening. If we compare those parts now with our body, we could say our densest is the body, and the next bit is our emotions, and the next bit is our beliefs, and then our soul or spirit. And again, below there, this nothing. I call this down here, just to have a name, pure spirit. You can call it source, you can call it God, you can call it anything, but I call this pure spirit. With the two-pointing, what we are accessing, and that's why it's called applied quantum physics, we are going into the space where creation is started. So we're going into the space of nothingness. And from there, an impulse is given back up through all these different parts. And again, what that means, you might have a headache, or let's say you have a frozen shoulder, and what you experience at the moment is the pain in your frozen shoulder. So you think, I need to go to a doctor and get my frozen shoulder fixed, and then everything will be fine. However, because everything in this universe, including our bodies, is connected, it is not just the frozen shoulder or the pain in your body. There is an underlying thing happening. It's either with your emotions, it's either with your beliefs, or it has to do with your soul or spirit. The one thing I bring everything back to is everything around us, everything in the universe, everything is energy. And energy is either flowing or it is blocked. You can call it cancer, but you can also call it blocked energy. If we get down to the principle and looking at absolutely everything we experience as either energy is flowing or it's not flowing, what happens with that is you are detaching positives and negatives, which are usually attached to emotions, from whatever you call something. And that means you can far easier work through all these four different points and make the energy run again. If we are focusing, or let's explain that with the quantum physics. Have ever of you seen What the Bleep Do We Know? Yeah. So you know the experiment where they shoot these protons or these neurons, I might use the wrong words, against a little box. What they've done is they shoot, let's call them protons, against a box, and you would expect that those protons go through the box at the end of a white surface and end up in a certain way, exactly the shape of the box. And they did this, and they didn't. And there was a fumble. And then they realized there must be something which is changing the way these protons are shot against this box. So what they did is they put a camera or a watching device and observed the process. And they realized that the observing of what happened is making the difference. Meaning, if the camera was looking at a certain angle, expecting those protons to go in a circle, they did. If the camera was at another angle, expecting the protons to go in a box, they did. The observer, or in this case it was a machine, but it's the observer, makes the difference. And that applies to our life. How we look at something, how we expect something to happen, that's what makes an impact in your life. This is going to happen. If you expect something to happen in a certain way, because remember the self-image, what you believe to be true, what you learned about yourself, the self-image, that's how it's going to happen. Can you kind of follow that? Okay, and what we want to do is we want to make the energy flow again. If energy is able to flow, you are open to opportunities. First of all, you're open to actually see what is happening. This is the main thing which is starting when you apply the two-pointing. All of a sudden, you see what was in front of you the whole time. You just couldn't see it because you become more aware and aware and aware. And what I mean with that is your patterns, how you operate, how you do things, how you interact in relationships. That is all a pattern, and that will be brought up through this process right in front of your face. And then at that point, you can then decide, do I still want this? Do I still believe this to be true or not? And then you transform it, make the energy flow again, and out of here and the connection with your soul and spirit, where we get in the second part in, is those new belief systems coming up, which I believe is the time right now for us to connect with who we really truly are and what we really are here to experience for. Okay? That's enough talking for to start with. We do a little practice right away so that you can get up. My favorite quote is Albert Einstein's, and it says, "We cannot solve today's problems with the same thought patterns that created them." And this is exactly what this whole mind concept and then the work with the two-pointing is all about. If I created with my limiting beliefs, and I'm talking about the limiting conditioned beliefs I have accepted to be true, if I created in that mindset a problem, I cannot solve that problem with the same limiting beliefs I still hold. I have to have new beliefs to actually find a real solution. And that's what we are going to do. And the best part is nobody has to think that much and say that much and talk about it. We are not diving into stories, which are usually just a thought which has attached a positive or a negative, creates an emotion. That's what an emotion is. And everybody experiences them differently. I want to be at a place where I only have feelings and not emotions, because emotions usually are having some form of judgment, whether it's positive or negative, but it has a judgment. And judgment, I believe, is what this world can do without. Okay, so I will now explain or demonstrate on somebody how the two-pointer works, because the two-pointing itself is very easy, that tool. The reason why we have workshops is A, to explain a little bit, and that has to do again with our limiting beliefs. I could tell you right at the beginning of the session, this is how the two-pointer works, go home and practice and that's it. And it would work. Only we would think with our conditioned minds that's too easy. So there's no credentials behind it. That's I didn't understand it. That can't work. And straight away, if you say this can't work, remember your self-image is making sure that what you believe to be true is happening. Of course, it can't work. We do it. I guide you through a process. Mainly, A, because I want you to go home and really know how to practice it without having to look at any notes. You will know how the two-pointing works. And B, to satisfy your mind at this point and saying, okay, there is something about this. And thirdly, because we are all in one big group, we are transforming, and we are all interconnected, we are transforming massive amounts of energies today and information. And what I work on, or what you work on, or what you work on, if I resonate with that in any way, I transform it at the same time. And that's why workshops are extremely powerful. So I always look forward to it, because I always make a huge shift when I do them myself. The philosophy behind it, which I come to now, which I didn't know at 2 years' time, for me now you could say either everything is energy and either it flows or it doesn't, or you can translate it and say, everything is love. There's either love or there's a cry for love. And that's all there is. Okay, I need a volunteer now. Yep, can you, because I don't have a chair, can you bring your chair? Let's share some love. Yes. No, you are just standing so that in case you are waving, you would be back. I just come here. Right. We will learn this afternoon, you can apply the two-pointer on yourself too, but to begin with, we apply it on somebody else because there is a different feeling in your hands and you actually feel the energy quite nicely. So this is now representing the problem. And as we say, there are no problems, but the blocked energy. So what Kathleen is doing, for a brief moment, she is thinking about something that is bothering her, upsetting her, hurting her. I don't need to know and I don't want to know. She's just thinking it. I then connect with it. The body is only one part. Most of you are quite aware that there is a huge etheric body around her as well. So I could do it without touching her. Yeah? But I'm just doing it because it's more comfortable to have my hand up there. There are different power points on the body, so you could use the chakra point, you can use the hip as well. I use the shoulder because, again, it's comfortable. If you are a small person, you stand beside somebody like this, put it on the hips, or you can put it at the heart chakra as well. But I use this point. So now this is where the second point comes in. So the first point is the problem, and I just say problem now, but I mean blocked energy, yeah? And the second point is somewhere out there. In quantum physics, there is not here, there, Germany, it's all one space. In the universe or in quantum physics, everything is totally interconnected. So there are many, many, many points I can now connect with, which will bring this energy back to flow, or in other words, which will create a solution for that problem. Because the solution is we want to let the energy flow again. The impulse then works itself through all these different points, and the solution will come up for her in the best way possible. We are not trying to say, I want this for her to happen. She focuses, for example, on, I don't have enough money. And then I focus on, oh, I want her to have lots of money. No, that's not what we do. We are open to whatever is best for her soul development right now. So my connection with her is here. Then I ask her to open the hands. I'm not doing anything with you. And I, in my mind, focus on the solution point. So I am asking in my mind for a solution point. And then you try to just feel it with your hands. I can do it without my hands now, but when we start practicing it, we do it with hands. If you've never done any of that work before, really it doesn't matter. I'm not a healer, I'm not an energy worker, and we are actually not working as energy healers. We are just the transmitter. So you are facilitating energy to flow. You're not making it flow. Yeah? Then I focus on this point. When I feel at some point tingling in my hand, or you will feel that you actually push against something. You can't see it, but you feel it. Then you focus on both of those points at the same time in your head, keeping your eyes open. We do not want to go in the 3D world, we want to do it here. Resting your eyes either on the floor or in the distance, and then you defocus. And what happens with defocusing is, we have an exercise to go there as well, as you are lowering your brain waves. And what we want to do is we want to go into alpha, which is the area where we are open to intuition, free from emotions, and connect with finding the right point without worrying, do I have the right point or not? So you defocus your eyes, you try to feel something, and when you feel there is a connection, then you focus on both points at the same time, and in your head you state either transformed or dissolved. You can choose the word which applies best to you. And we are using the past because in quantum physics, there is no past, present, and future. And we visualize or have the intention that this problem this person is having is already being resolved. And that makes the energy go. Only our intention makes the energy go again. The key for this now is to do it from your heart space. Try to avoid doing it just mentally. I started initially just doing it intellectually, and it works. But the key is to go into your heart space, or even better, pretend to be a child. Play with this. Because as we learned, when you play and when you are a child, you're really open and you know, okay, this is possible, this is fun, let's have a go. Instead of, what am I doing? I don't feel anything. Do I do this wrong? Just play with it. And when we are in our heart space, we are grateful that this is already all being resolved. Once we connect with that point, stating transformed in our heads, then we breathe out and wait for a wave, because then this impulse from here is working its way through to the body, and the recipient will experience it as a waveform. Just happened. It goes really quickly between us because she has practiced it before. Some people start swaying a bit. So if you feel like you go more forwards or backwards, that's okay. Some people move not at all. I hope we don't have anybody who's knocked over on the ground, because you should have somebody behind you. We practice it together, and that's another reason why I have the hand on the shoulder. Some people move quite a bit. And if they really fall backwards, you have to hold them. The whether somebody sways a lot or nothing at all has nothing to do whether it's successful, it's working or not. It always works every single time. Even if you think this is not working, I don't feel anything, it always works. Okay, so can you just focus on something else again? Again, having focus on this problem point, trying to find the solution point, being in this state of mind that I'm really grateful that all of this has already been resolved. When I feel something, I think in my head, transformed. And there we go. And that's it. It's as simple as that. Right, so everybody find a partner. Yes.
Could it be like physical things like illness or sickness or?
Yes, yeah. You can think of anything you like. For the purpose of today, I would suggest you take 2 major topics you want to work on, and then you switch them with partners. So think of 2 things which are results in your life at the moment you're really not that happy with. And it can be physical, it can be an emotion, it can be somebody who bugs you. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what you think of, because it always works through all different layers anyway.
So how you think of it and how you phrase it in your mind, is that important?
No, not at all. Words are not important. You just think about it briefly. You don't have to hold on to this thought either. I just want you to think about it in any way. You don't have to bring up those emotions. Just think about it, because the person who works with you needs to connect with it. Once that's done, you say, yes, I'm ready. And when she starts or he starts with the 2 pointing, you can let go of that thought too. Yeah? If you choose, you want to have this feeling coming up, that's fine too. There is no right or wrong way with it. But the good thing is you don't have to tell anybody. That's what I like about it. Let's have a go. Just find a partner. Just find somebody you don't know. Yes. And you are in your head, you are asking for the solution point. Once you have that point, when you feel it, then you think transform or dissolve. It's like finding the right thing and then opening the gate. So first you ask for the solution point, and then spirit will guide you where one is. And when you have it, then you think transformed.
And touch the shoulder.
You can.
Before or after? That's the point.
Yes.
So
No, you at the beginning just touch it, because that's when you connect with mind. Again, that's a little bit of me too. How was that first one?
Unsure.
Yes, good.
Would like to experience I feel like I'd like to experience one of your
Yes.
forward feel.
So we know where
I will definitely do one with each of you. I'm doing them all the time because I'm doing them from my heart now. I don't need my hands anymore, but I will do one direct with each and every one of you. And nice that you say unsure, because that's exactly what the mind is telling you. I told you kind of a few things you can experience, and you were thinking, oh, but I don't feel that, and where is it? And it's exactly why we go through some structured processes, which we wouldn't need to do if we would be all as open as children are and just come together as 4-year-olds and play. They don't have expectations. They just try to experience something new. So I encourage you again over, and it's very good that you mention it, and it's normal that it happens. Just I encourage you to be as playful and open as you can. And the more you do the work, the more you become more playful. You should have seen me 5 years ago. My mom wouldn't recognize me anymore. She sees me now. Yeah, so the main thing is that you just start getting a little bit the hang of it. There's 2 things to say for it. You can't do anything wrong. There's not a very specific wording or the way you phrase something. Your soul and your spirit, or who you really are, knows everything that's going on and is guiding you. So there is no right or wrong in applying this practice. Please don't think, oh, I screwed this up, or I don't feel anything, or it always works. The only thing you have to have is a real open heart, being grateful that whatever that is already being resolved, meaning energy flowing again, and focusing on both points at the same time. That's all you need to do. How you word it, how you phrase it really doesn't matter. People who work very intuitively don't need to ask any questions at all. They just go and feel something and do it. So we start to learn it more with our left brain because that's how we are trained, but we are then going more and more. By the end of the day, we will have a process which goes through all the little steps we do today in one go. And I only do that these days because this other takes far too long. We, at the beginning, when we are uncertain and unsure, we try to feel, and we do it sometimes for a long time, and then we feel, oh, something is happening, and then we stay in this space. And quite often we stay there because it actually feels really good. What happens in that moment is you are completely connected with that space and with that energy field. And you don't think, or you're not supposed to at least, oh, I need to get my washing out. And when I come home, I have to do this. When we are in the space of completely nothingness, this feels so good. I don't know about you, but I just love doing it. And that's why I sometimes stay in it a little longer. The impulse from here is given as soon as you connected the 2 points. So I can, if I'm in a hurry now, or when Kathleen and I are working, I just think it happens, that's it. We don't need to stay really long. I just do it because it feels good. But the impulse happens as soon as you connect the 2 points, bang it is, and it works its way through. So you don't have to think you have to hold it the whole time either. Again, there's nothing right or wrong. What we do before morning tea is, when we start doing this work, it is ideal that we are in this alpha brainwave. And at the moment, we are still at beta, trying to comprehend and understand. So we will do a little meditation now, where I'm guiding you into alpha, and then I'm programming you, or you program yourself, a phrase which is basically stating mental level alpha at the end. And we repeat that 3 times in our mind. And then, when you then do the work at home, today you will be staying in that space and in this energy field anyway. But when you work tonight or tomorrow or something, the only thing you have to then state in your head is mental level alpha, and breathe, and you are in alpha. There is no requirement of 30 minutes meditations or being in a silent space, or you can actually talk while you do this. There is no, what is the word I'm looking for? Routine is the wrong word, but structure or anything, or sacred space, or, oh God, the telephone is ringing. Normal life, that's why I love this process, you know. I can talk to somebody, I can answer the phone in between. It really is that simple and that relevant to your life too. So, but we do this meditation to program that you easily can go into this alpha space. Yeah? So just sit relatively relaxed. Again, it doesn't, you can also, if you want to sit down, unfortunately there are no cushions, you can lie down on the floor if you like. I just have to take this off for a second and turn the thingy on. Just close your eyes. I just run some raindrops to make it easier for you. Just start closing your eyes and you're approaching an elevator. And the door is slowly opening. Just enter. We want to go downwards to the 10th floor. So you push to number 10. And the elevator is starting to move. 10. Breathe in and out. 9. Your body is relaxing. With the next breath, focus on letting go of the last bit of tension in your body. Nine. Breathe in and out. 8. You're getting more and more relaxed. 7. Breathe in and out. 6. Your body gets more and more relaxed. 5. Your body is rejuvenating and really enjoying the space. 4. Continue to focus on your breath. In and out. 3. We are getting closer. Relax. Two. Breathe in and out. One. Almost there. Zero. We have now arrived at the alpha level. That's a brainwave frequency between 7 and 14 megahertz. This is where you are open to intuition, creative ideas, and knowledge. And it's very good to go into when you work on a particular project or you want to do this two-pointing work. You're really relaxed. Every time you quickly want to go back here, you just have to state in your mind, mental level alpha, and you will be right there. So whenever we start this work, in our mind we state mental level alpha. And we'll be right here. Your brain will always remember this state and frequency as soon as you say mental level alpha. Enjoy this for a moment, and then in your own time, when you're ready, go back in the elevator, go upwards and come back into this room. Take your time though. If you don't get anything else out of the seminar, but just would do this, going into alpha every single day, you would already be amazed about changes that automatically happen. Because alpha is a state where we can actually see solutions, which we can't see before. I explained to you before, as an emotion is only a thought which has a judgment attached, whether it's positive or negative. When we are in situations where we are feeling a bit pressured, and a lot of people these days are feeling stressed and pressured, and in lots of different areas, we can't think. It just blocks completely off. And just going into alpha, first of all, it relaxes all your body organs, it relaxes your brain waves, and all of a sudden you can see a solution. You cannot see a solution if you're involved in an emotion. It's just not possible. So, yes?
You said you want to get away from emotions into a feeling state.
Yeah.
The feeling state, the emotion state.
Isn't
The feeling state, the emotion state?
No, for me, an emotion is a thought which has attached a judgment, yes, a positive or negative. Feeling comes from the heart and for me, it has no judgment. Feeling doesn't mean necessarily it's only good. Feeling just means it is. And I have not experienced a lot of feelings yet. It feels really quite different to an emotion. An emotion is for me, I won the last soccer game. Yay! Awesome. That's an emotion because there was something attached to it. I wanted to win this game. And that's why I'm really happy now. A feeling is I'm going to the beach, and that's where my favorite space is, and connect to the water, and all of a sudden I see a dolphin popping out, and for no really reason apart from this dolphin being there, I feel bliss or connected, or but it's not saying, oh, this is really awesome. This is just flushing through my body like a warm waterfall or something. That's a feeling for me.
Emotions got a reaction, haven't they? Generally.
Well, this is how I explain it, but that's where we can, we get into that later on too. This is what this means to you, and I just explain what it means to me. That doesn't mean that I'm right or you are, or I'm wrong.
Trying to understand.
Yes.
If I saw the dolphin, the feeling, the judgment would be that's a beautiful animal, so the feeling would be blessed.
Yes.
I don't understand the difference between that, seeing the dolphin or winning the game. That's what I just am trying to understand that.
Okay. I try to find better examples then. For me, feeling and emotion is quite... Emotion is probably more attached to my ego. And a feeling is not attached to my ego. A feeling is just, it's beautiful that he's there. It's not that I have to own this animal now, or that I... Yeah, that's probably it. That emotion for me is having this judgment, and judgment comes from the ego. It never comes from your soul. Any other suggestions on, to help Cynthia to explain?
I say there's a feeling of sadness, but I think the emotion that would go there would be perhaps anger or something like jealousy or something like this, where you can feel sad, but
Yes.
not have an attachment or a need to act on it.
Yeah.
And then you can feel love or happiness without being attached. So then the emotion is then perhaps the attachment. So like holding on to it.
That's a good way to explain it. The attachment, yes. And it's good that you chose sadness, because sadness in itself is not a bad feeling. We make it a bad feeling by putting a judgment on it. Yeah? Okay, I would say we have a little morning tea break then. This one was the more heavier one, and we will have little tidbits of information coming through, but we will do a lot of practice from now on as well.